The best way to describe Fastmodel is hockey technology tools. It's coaching, scouting, and player development tools to create new and efficient workflows for you as a coach, as someone in player development, or as someone in management. We want to be there to try to make your life easier. So what does that actually mean? When you look at how you're operating on a day-to-day basis, you're using all of these tools for things that they're not really made for. Working as a video coach in the National Hockey League, we were creating systems packages on Microsoft PowerPoint, line charts using Microsoft Excel, and pre-scout system sheets using Microsoft Word. I would print these out and stick them on the wall where some players saw it and some players walked right by. They were static drawings without animation or video, and I had no way of tracking who actually saw it. All of these would get stored somewhere like Dropbox, and we also had separate platforms for scouting and practice planning. Fastmodel provides tools for you to be able to do tasks like building lineup cards, building practice plans, building individual development plans more effectively and more efficiently than you have in the past. The tools for coaches, scouts, player development, and management all in one operating system. Fast Scout is our document and report building tool. This is going to allow you to be able to create different documents, whether it's a practice plan, whether it's a player development plan, a systems package, a data automated lineup sheet, goalie, face-offs, and special teams pre-scouts, or your bench cards. Then you can communicate this information to your players much more modernly through our Fast Scout app. We have an Apple app and we have an Android app. You can build a practice plan, and instead of just taping it up, sticking it on the wall, you can send it to your players through our mobile apps and they will receive a notification. You can then track who's seen the sheet and who has watched the video. The second tool is Fast Draw, our drawing tool, which is drill drawing on steroids. The three main things that really set this product apart is first, you can see the animations. Other drawing tools allow you to be able to create dead diagrams or just images. Our tool allows you to build your drills and bring them to life through animation. Secondly, all these drawings can be added all across the Fast Scout platform. So whether it's an individual development plan, team practice, or pre-scout sheet, these drawings will be available to use. Lastly, the platform has the ability to create multi-part drills. Your drill animations can go through multiple stages, as you can see on this slide. The third feature is our prospect view system. So think of this as your player management and player development platform. This allows you to both keep track of all the players within your organization or players you may wish to recruit and add to your organization with all of their information in one location, easily accessible for all members of the organization, from coaches to scouts and management. So whether it's building a draft list, recruiting list, or whether it's trying to find a player through the transfer portal, however you acquire players, you can keep track of all that information through our prospect view platform. So what does the Fastmodel suite look like? Fastmodel is a web-based application. It's best run on Google Chrome. So you enter the website, log in, and you'll be able to access all the information. You'll land on the dashboard page here, where it's very easy to navigate to prospect view or the draw page just by clicking the tabs. Your dashboard will give you information on your own team. Whatever games you have last played will show here, and you'll have your upcoming schedule will show as well. It'll give you information on your box score stats and where you rank in the league that you play, as well as the ability to switch this to your last 5 games, your wins, your losses. So if there's something that maybe you aren't doing so well in your losses, you can flip it here and see what does that look like comparatively to when you're winning games, or if you're on a hot streak in your last 5 games and you want to see, what are we doing well these last 5 games, you can make that switch and be able to see all that information for your team. There's also per period stats, as well as situational results, like what is your record when you score the first goal. So just giving you additional information that you can then use in meetings with your players. We also have a skater cumulative box score. So from here, you can click on any of these players and bring up their player page. We also have their stats across the season, and those can be filtered by last 5 as well. When I click into one of these players, it'll bring it to their player page. It'll show their stats, any notes that you have on that player. It'll link to their elite prospect page. We'll also have a link to Instat coming soon as we get that integration going, so we can link directly to their Instat page from here. And within this page, you'll see the players' last 5, last 10, wins, losses, ties as well. We also have an opponents tab, so you can click on this opponents and pull up any team in NCAA Division 1 if that's the league that you're in, and you can click on and see their dashboard and view their team as well and click through their player pages. You also have access to additional leagues. If you do, you can click here and see players in additional leagues. We also have a schedule tab. This will give you your team schedule for the year. And within that, each game you can click on the box score and it will give you some additional information on that box score of the game. You'll see here the color coded is blue is below average for the year and the red is above. So this player averaged 3 shots attempts on the year, and in this game he had 4. So it just gives you a little bit more detail on the box score. Where teams spend the majority of their time is on the Scouts tab. So this is really where you can build those pre-scouts sheets, any self-scouts or player scouts that you want to build, as well as your practice plans. So an example of building a new one is if you click here on New Opponent Scout. If you're in season, you'll see your list of your games. We'll call this one Test, and we can select any team within our league that we're playing. So in this instance, let's say Denver is playing the Maine Black Bears. We can click Maine, and we have templates, but you can also start with a blank template. So in this template, we'll use our line chart template, and we'll click Create. So now I have a data automated lineup chart for Maine Black Bears. These data will automatically update throughout the year. So if you play on Friday night, you create a new one for Saturday night, these stats will update from whatever happened Saturday night. So if you're playing Boston University on Friday night, and then you play Boston College on Saturday, when you do the Boston College one on Saturday, it will update from their game the night before. These are drag and drop, so maybe some of these players aren't their first line. They're really only going to be on the third line tonight. We can drag and drop them to get them into their positions. We can also add notes on the player. So when you send this to your team, you hang it on the wall, however you communicate this to your players, you can add additional stats. So top power play, or whatever notes that you want to have for each particular player. As I said, these are fully customizable and can be built from scratch. So here are all the tiles that you can add here. You can add an image if there's just a picture you want to add. You can add a text box, a stats page, a personnel tab, which I'll show in a second, on a different sheet, as well as their recent games, their situational results, a depth chart, a line chart, or any plays that you've drawn from the draw page. An example that teams use that showcase the power of the FastScout platform is pre-scout sheets. So here you'll see we have one built for Boston College in this instance. All of these systems were drawn within the draw platform and added here, and you can come in and update based off how this team plays. This is also linked to video, so any one of these I can click on here. And there's the picture, but I can also add video. So if I have video that I've captured and gone through my pre-scout of this team's forecheck, their breakouts, I can add it to each tile within here. I can also search across all the drills in my drill books. So say this one is actually a breakout, I can search breakout and have all the examples of the breakouts that I've drawn to add directly in here. So this is an easy way to get all that information concisely to your players with both the video, the animation, as well as the written information on how a team plays. This is also, as we talked about before, able to be sent to players through the mobile app. So if I click mobile access here and have my players on, this will be able to be viewed on the mobile app, and you can see the user, how many tiles they've clicked on and how many videos they've watched. So if you send this to your team and you see that there's no videos that your players have watched, you can have that conversation about the accountability of doing their homework and making sure that they know what's kind of going on with the upcoming opponent. Other examples here are power play. So again, if you want to build a pre-scout of the power play, you can set this to add the roster. So if you know what the team's first unit, what their second unit is, you can add that in here. There's also a face-off pre-scout sheet as an example, where you can have a personnel tab of the center, put in your notes of what they do to win their face-off, and then you can also attach the video here. So as you'll see, we have all these face-offs of this player already added here. And when you send it to your players, they'll be able to watch each of these face-offs to get that pre-scout on that player. Again, mobile access enabled. We can see, did our centers actually watch these videos that were part of our face-off pre-scout? This is also searchable. So if I want to see, example of our goalie pre-scout, I can search that goalie. It's going to pull up. I can click here and see, okay, Jacob Fowler, here are his stats. What was his strengths? What are his weaknesses? How are we going to beat him? Again, I can attach a video and have this sent to our players or posted on the wall. Again, just kind of another example of what you can do and the power of FastScout and all of this living in the same place. Self-scouts would be where you would build your own playbook and your own system sheets. Again, that can look very similar to that system sheet of a pre-scout, or it can be something totally up to you of how you want that to look. On the player scout tabs, you can see our individual player development plans or any scouting reports that you make on individual players. This can both be of your own team or potential recruits or players that you want to draft. So if I click on this individual player development plan here, you'll have the player and their stats will update automatically throughout the year. So if you meet with the player at the beginning of the year and you want to talk through their upcoming season and what their expectations are, you can have their last year stats on here to show them. But then also you can, within the settings, you can select which years you want to show, which games, last 5, any of the stats that you want to specifically make sure that is on this player's individual player development plan. You can add those. And you also, these stats will update throughout the year. So it's not something that you have to continually come in here and update. When you meet with them at the beginning of the year, you can have it with last year's stats. You can change it to this year's stats as the season goes through. And then when you meet them at the mid-season, you meet them at the end of the season, those stats will have automatically updated without you having to go through and redo that. You can, again, using this example, if you have video of their strengths, you can add that directly here from your file or from the team library on your Hudl.com account. And we also have the ability to add any drills that you've drawn. So you say in the summer, we want you to come and work on these specific things. We want you to work on your box out. Here's a good drill of that. Again, this can come with video and the animation from the drill as well. We also have the ability to add another player down here. So in this case, maybe it's Quinn Hughes that you want Eric Polkamp to aspire to be, and you can add Quinn Hughes' player page there as well with video very similar to this one to show this is a player that we want you to mimic your game after. Lastly, under the Scouts tab is practice plans. Practice plans are pretty self-explanatory, but this is where you can actually build, using our templates, the practice plans that you would send out to your players or post on the wall. It comes with the depth chart, so if you want to have, give this to your equipment managers to say who's wearing the red jerseys today, who's wearing the white jerseys. We're going to do PP at the halfway point, so we want to make sure that these players are ready to change into their the uniforms they need for that colors. You can have it set up here. You simply select the player and put them into their lines because you'll have access to your depth chart tile here. Each of these drills is going to live within the drill jaw part of the software where you're able to easily add them here. So say I want to search for a battle drill. Like today, we really need to start off practice with a battle drill. I can click battle and I can pick this drill here and add it directly onto this tile. As you saw when I pulled this up, it gives you the animation of the drill that was drawn within FastDraw. So the players can watch the animation of the drill when this gets sent to them. This is also downloadable. So if you want to add it to your pre-scout meeting or one of your meetings in SportsCode, you can just download it and drop it right into your SportsCode playlist. And we also have the video attached right here. So you can have the video of the drill, the animation of the drill, all within that. On any of these scout builders, you have the ability to attach directly from SportsCode. So I can add video from SportsCode, and within that, you'll be able to attach directly to the tiles. So if you have a playlist for a pre-scout as an example, and you've labeled things as breakouts, forechecks, line rush 4, you'll be able to map those labels to each individual tile so that only those videos show up. So if in this case of the drills, you can have warm-up 3-man shooter as a label, 3-on-0 group as a label, and map them directly to each tile. Within the FastDraw application, this is where you can draw the systems and the drills that you add to your scouts within FastScout. So here you'll see we can search across series. So if you tag a drill as a breakout or a system as a breakout, you can search for that here by clicking on here, or any tags that you add to the drill. So if you have a practice drill that's a forecheck, but you also want to have compete via tag, you can add that there and you can see all of the drills that we've labeled as compete. We can also search by diagram name. So as I've done before, if I search battle, it'll pull up that 2-on-2 battle drill. Creating a diagram is very easy. So when I select create diagram here, it'll bring us into the drill drawing platform. You have the option to use any different rink size. So if it's a full rink, you can use that if it's a full ice drill, or if it's something more like a systems and you want to use the half rink, you also have a third as well as the goal. And you can flip these as needed, basically based on how you want to put them into your scout. For our example here, we're going to use the left rink as we're going to draw a forecheck example. To draw a drill, you have the option between using F1, F2, F3, or using left wing, right wing, center. In this case, I'm going to draw a forecheck, so I'm going to use F1. I'm going to drag F1 down to the dot lane. I'm going to select fast place, and that's going to allow me to put consecutive players. So now I can do my F2, my F3, my D1, and my D2. This on the opposing side, we're going to have a pass. So I want to have my D1 here with the puck, and then I can add a D2 here for that pass to go through. When I click on my D1, I have the opportunity to make them red so that they can be clearly seen as the opposing team. You also, when I right click to remove any of these players or double click, I can change these to numbers as well. So if you don't want to have it be F1, F2, F3, you can double click, change these to numbers if you want to have specific players in your drawing. To draw, I just click on the pencil arrow, highlight the player that's going to be doing the action, and use the pencil to draw. So in this case, we'll have F1 attack the puck. Our options are skate, skate backwards, pass, shot, or skate with puck. So here, he's just going to skate, F2 is going to come down the wall, and F3 is going to come to the middle of the ice. We're also going to have D1 make that pass to D2. To see the animation, we click animate. So now you'll see these routes are going to end at different times, but I want to make sure that all these routes end at the same time, so I'm going to drag them to the end. When I hit play, you'll see that animation play out. To go to the next frame and to build the second part of this drill, we'll pass build. So as that pass is now made, what do each of these players do? So F3, we're going to have him attack the puck. We're going to have F1 recover above the net. And you'll see it gives you a nice, good curved line there. And we're going to have F2 recover through the middle. So now when I click animate, this time I want, say, my F2 to be a little delayed here. You can say he starts a little bit late, maybe not the best in this forecheck situation, but if it was a different situation and you want to have their timing start later, you could do it strictly on like a drill. So now when I hit play, you'll see the F2 starts a little bit later than the other two players. I can hit fast build again and now add the third step. For the next step of the system, I'm going to add a wing. So I'm going to drag a wing down here, double click, change to W, make sure that the shading is red. And now we're going to add what happens when this D2 rims the puck along the wall to this wing. We're going to want, in this case, we're going to be a little bit super aggressive with our D, huge pinch here, F2 cover, F1 back through the middle, and F3 get above. So a little bit aggressive here, but this is just kind of showing you an example. Again, we want all these routes to end at the same time. We hit animate. That's the end of our drill and our 3 steps to this forecheck. Once we finish drawing the drill, we can now go to the settings and make sure that we have a name for a drill and any information we want to have with it. So on the diagram name, we can name this forecheck 122 aggressive. Make sure it's a forecheck series. We can add any of the series that we have. We can select any of the tags that we've already used, or we can add a new one like aggressive in this case. So I can search any system that we've made that is aggressive and pull those up. And then any notes that you want to add in the diagram. So here we'll say aggressive 122. You also have the ability to add notes here that will show up on your scouts for any part of frame of the drill. So here we'll say if we want to add in some information like D pinch hard, and that will stay with this drill as it goes through onto Fastmodel. So now I'm going to click done, and this drill will be available for us. So now we have this forecheck 1-2-2 aggressive here within our drill draw platform, and we are able to search across that now and all the other drills that we have. This drill is now available to use in Fastmodel on any of our pre-scout sheets or our practice plans if it were a practice drill that we drew. Also, if I come over here, you'll see I have the ability to click onto the drawing, hit play, and you'll see that animation that we've built and see that draw out. From here, the next step of the Fastmodel platform is prospect view. So when we click on prospect view, it'll bring us to our prospect list. So these will be any players that we have selected to add to our list of players that we want to recruit, players on our current roster, players we may want to trade for, or other players that may transfer into our program. To add players to your list, you use the search tab. So here you'll see we have 203 leagues that are available to search across. The data comes from elite prospects for most of these leagues. In college, it would be from Genius Sports. You can search the most recent season or a past season, the team. You can select a date range for birth dates. So if there's a specific birth year that you're looking to recruit from and search across, you can do that. You can search position, handedness, height, or minimum height. So if you want to search a left shot defenseman that's at least 6'2", you can do that by filling in that information on your filters. So if I search for a player, in this case, Daxton Rudolph, to add to my draft list or my recruiting list, I can search his name. He will come up, and then I can add him directly by clicking here and hitting create new recruit. So now we've added Daxton Rudolph to our prospects page. When I return to our full prospect page, I can click on any of these players and go to their player page within Fastmodel. So when I click Caleb Malholtra, we bring to his page where you can see his stats across the year. Again, this updates throughout the year. So if we came in halfway through the season, you'd see his season stats for half of the year. There's a link to click to his elite prospect page, and we'll be adding a link to Instat as we continue to build out that integration. You'll also be able to see any notes that you have on that player when you click on the Notes tab. You have the ability to edit the information on this player. So when we click Caleb Malholtra, we can now edit any information that we want on him. So we can add him to any of our lists. We can add contact info if we know his agent information, and we can add a city and birth if you want. If there's salary information that you know for your league, you can add that here as well. Within this page, we have the ability to look at his events, so any games he has played. If we look in March, this might take a second to load here, we'll be able to see the games that he's playing in March. So if we were looking at this in season, we'd be able to see what are his upcoming games. We'd be able to click into this game and assign an attendee to that game. So if I want to assign myself to this game, I can click myself, hit save, and I'm going to be going to this Barrie Colts Brantford Bulldogs game. You also have the ability to do tasks. So if I want to add a task for a member of our staff, I click new task. For Caleb Malholtra, I can assign it to one of my colleagues, Evan, and say, please reach out to coach and discuss character. So again, if it's a player that you want to recruit and you want to have one of your assistants reach out to talk about that player, you can set a task for them. You also have the ability to do notes. So if you have gone and watched a game, you can type in the date. So we'll say today's date and say watch game was outstanding. Now that note will live with him within this platform. So again, if you have multiple scouts, multiple notes that they're going to be making on this player, they go attend multiple games, they can put in their notes, even just conversations that they have with the player's agent, with the coach, with anyone associated with him. If they talk to him directly after a game, they can go in and put a note on here, and anyone who clicks on his profile will be able to see the notes for that player. You can attach video to their page. So if you have video of his shifts or say all his goals, all of his good offensive play, you can add that here. And you can also add any documents you have associated with that player. So if there's like a transcript or something like that that you want to have, you can add it in here. The big advantage of creating these lists is using boards. So boards is how you would build out your draft board or your recruiting list of here are our top left wings, here are our top centers, here are our top right wing targets. Again, if this is, trade targets across the league, it can also be your current roster. So again, a lot of teams use this as magnet tiles that they have on a board, and it's kind of living there just still. But here, as you can see, the stats update automatically for these players. You can drag and drop them up and down. So if this is your first line, you say we want to change this and make sure that he's on the second line. Hagen Burrows is our first line. You can have those conversations as a staff together with this on a TV screen and just go through and make those changes to your lines, and everyone's kind of on the same page of what your lines will be for that week or for that coming game. It's just kind of a much more easier way, and you don't have to use the old school style of magnet tiles. Each one of these is customizable. So here we have left wing, center, right wing, left D, right D goalie. But if you want to change this, say these are your tier 1 prospects, you can change this to say tier 1. So you can have it be by position, you can have it be by tier, and you can have all of your tier 1 listed here, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. So just an easy way to view your recruiting list, make notes on these players, and see it visually in this board format, which a lot of teams really like and really use. Another tab here is a schedule tab. So there's not too many games being played in June, but if we go back to the first week of March, we'll be able to see any games that any players on our list are playing in. So if we've set that list, and now when we come here, any game like Brady Noling is played in this game on March 1st. And you'll see the list of players and the list of games that they're playing in that week. So if I'm trying to build a schedule and I know that I'm going to this Omaha Muskegon game to watch these players, I can look at the next night and say, okay, are there any games within range of that next night where these guys are playing or other players that are on our list might be playing? To add any of these games to my schedule, I simply click on the star and that will add that player in that game to my schedule. You also have the ability to view this in a calendar view. So when I click calendar view and go to March, it'll take a second here to load all the games. But once all the games are loaded, you'll be able to see all the number of games across the month that each player is playing on. So with the players that are on our list, there were 16 games on March 6th that we're able to look at and attend. So now I can go in here, I can click on the game, I can see the players on our list who are playing in that game, and I can add attendees as needed. The next tab that a lot of teams find very useful is the reports tab. So the reports tab contains all the notes on players that your staff has made directly on their player page. So you'll see we did this one earlier of Caleb Malhotra, and that is the note I put in today. So that's going to show here for everyone to see. There's some other notes on players that I put in the past, and they'll show up here as well. Any member of your staff that puts in a note, it will be shown here. You can also filter this by a date range. So if you want to see only the ones that were in season, you could do that. You can filter it by a particular recruit. So if you only want to see Jesper Bratt as an example, if you just want to see his notes, you can click on just that player. You can click on just the staff to see just mine or just a particular scout. Maybe you're looking at players in a region that Evan Jansen scouts and you want to see his notes on that. You can click him and just see his notes. So that's the full walkthrough of the Prospect View platform. Again, this is, all integrated, all part of the same platform, really easy to use for coaches and management. And a lot of the teams that are currently using this are finding this very useful and very effective and efficient in managing all the information that they need to both coach, develop players, and make sure that they're bringing in the right players to their organization. Thank you for your time.